Look what I just got! Now we can start our video. Hi, editing me here. I gave zero context for anything going on in this vlog, so here I am to give you some information. So, I first read Ella and Ella's Will when I was a teenager, probably like 8th grade maybe? Around then, 7th, 8th grade. Sometime I discovered these books, fell in love with them. I read Ella first and I didn't know that Ella's Will existed. Now, Ella is a retelling of Cinderella from Cinderella's kind of point of view, and it's honestly, when I think about the Cinderella story, it is the book that I think of when it comes to Cinderella. Like, there's no other book for me. So I read this book and it became like part of my subconscious. Like, I wrote a short story a while later, like probably in high school at some point, and I reread it and it's basically just this book. So I read Ella, and then I think my mom also read Ella because she would read all of my books, which, you know, a responsible parent should do, but I was annoyed by it because I was a teenager. Anyway, so she was reading my books that I was reading. So she read Ella, and then she figured out that Ella's Will existed at the library. And so she checked it out and read it, and she was like, "Did you know this book existed?" I was like, "No." And so I read it. Fell in love with the story. Like, it is hands down like my favorite. I don't know if they count as a duology, but like they're my favorite books probably of fairy tale retellings to exist. They're so good. And then I got Goodreads probably towards the beginning of this year, and I started like logging all the books I've read, and I was logging Ella and Ella's Will because I would remember books randomly that I read, and so I'd log them on Goodreads because it's fun to be like, oh, I read this book, let's log it, you know, la la la, little number goes up, little brain goes pew. I logged that I've read them, and then I was like, I wonder what's on the rest of her backlist. I saw that there was another book in the same world, and my brain exploded. I was like, you're kidding me, right? Like, these are some of my favorite books in the entire world, and there's another one? Like, I honestly couldn't believe it. I immediately was like, well, I want to buy this book. But first thought was, is it at my local library? Because, you know, I'm poor, so is there a way that I can get it for free? Not on Libby. Also, none of her books are on Libby, which they should be because they're so stinking good, but they aren't on our Libby system. So they weren't on there, so I go in onto my library's homepage to see if I could reserve it. Isn't on my library. Here I'm like stumped. I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I can't buy the book. And then I was like, you know, I do have some money. So I was like, well, how much is a copy of the book? I look online. A physical copy was like $15 something. And I was like, I can't really afford $15 on a book right now. But then the Kindle copy was like $5 or $6, something like that. And I was like, actually, I can afford a $6 book. And so I immediately bought it. And then I was thinking about just reading it right then, but I was like, you know what? I should really reread the other 2 books first so I can get the full experience. And then I was like, you know what? If I'm going to reread these 2 books, I might as well make a video out of it. So here we are. Ella and Ella's Will, some of my favorite books in the entire world. So excited to do a reread of them. So excited to read Ella's Will for the first time. No, read Always Ella for the first time, which is the stepmother story, because I already told you it's a Cinderella retelling, but like, it's a Cinderella retelling. Oh my goodness, deja vu. As I am a future person, I know exactly how I felt about all this stuff, but you will see my wrap up of my feelings at the end, and if I feel like it wasn't sufficient enough, I will sit down and I will tell you more later, because apparently I'm scatterbrained when it comes to filming clips, and I like included them across different videos, and so I know I have like more of my thoughts in a wrap up, but this was supposed to be more conclusive. I don't know why I'm rambling. If there's more that needs to be said, I will come back and say it. I'm actually crying. I just really started this book and I'm so happy with reading it that I'm actually crying. It's been too long. I just finished reading Ella, the first book in the series, and while I was reading it, I was like in a busy room, so I didn't really have a chance to tell you my thoughts, but spoiler free, I didn't enjoy it as much as I did when I was younger, because I think when I was younger I didn't pay attention to writing as much as I do now. Not like it has bad writing or anything like that, it's just less refined as some books that I found that I really enjoy reading when I'm older. Because I think the last time I read this I was maybe like 14 or 15. I still really enjoyed it. I really love the morals. I really love Ella as a character, and I love Will. Yeah, I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm gonna do a spoiler section like at the end of the video, so like any spoilers I tell you I'll like say at the end, and so if you want to you can watch the end to see spoilers, but like the beginning will be like non-spoiler. It's an idea I got from Rachel Catherine because love her, she's so smart. And she did this with reading Archer's Voice, I think, when she was rereading Archer's Voice. She did this for that book. But anyway, overall I give it a 4.75 because it's still like, it has that nostalgia for me, so it's not quite a 5-star anymore because the writing doesn't like speak to my brain as much, but it's definitely not like just a 4-star. Still really good. So 4.75, 4.5, really good book. Now we're gonna pick up the next one. Ella's Will. I grabbed the wrong one. I've been reading Ella's Will. I know. It's been rough. It's been rough because I started a job and then I started doing this at the same time, and apparently that doesn't work at the same time for me and my brain. But I've been really liking it. I think what I'm finally understanding this time is that I really enjoy his perspective better than Ella's perspective, because I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, I love Ella, but I love Ella as a person through Will's eyes, which is amazing because now I know I love that book, but I love this book even more, and I'm really excited for the stepmother's one because I don't know how I'm gonna enjoy it, but I guess we'll see. I'm currently like 100 pages in, so I'm gonna try to read some more today. I know I say a lot of things, but we're gonna try, and then I'll update you when I finish it or when I have something else to say. Don't nail popsicles, kiddos. I forgot how much I love that book. Well, 2 books down. Still out upstairs. Okay, so as I said before, I do believe that I like Ella's Will more than Ella, purely because I love seeing his unabashed adoration for her in the entire book. Like, I was eating it up every single time that he was looking at her, thinking about her, talking about her. I love like his characters that you get to meet, because I love Ella's perspective, but she really only talks to like 4 people really the whole book. Well, she talks to Will, her stepmother, stepsisters. Okay, I guess they all kind of talk to the same people over the course of the whole book, but like Will talks to people more, so it's like more interesting from his perspective. I don't know, I really love his perspective. And one thing I thought was really interesting was, I don't think this is a spoiler, the way that the men in the town would have reacted to the prince coming and being like, yeah, I'm gonna marry someone. It could be a commoner, it could be anyone. And then all of the men suddenly have to be like, well, who are we gonna marry? Because there's a character in the book whose like relationship is threatened because of this ball. And I just found it so interesting this time, because I think when I read it the first time, I wasn't really thinking about how interesting that perspective of this really well-known story is, and how I don't think I've read any other books that have, well, never mind, I take that back. Palace of Glass kind of also has the same thing, but it's a little bit different. It's kind of, it's different. Palace of Glass by Jessica Day George is fantastic. No, Princess of Glass, not Palace of Glass. Fantastic book. Kind of has the same idea, but like twisted a little bit. Really love that book. 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Wonderful, completely recommend. If you do read Ella's Will, you could read it before reading Ella if you wanted to, but I do think reading Ella first gives you like, I guess like the complete story, because reading both of them you find out what's happening from his perspective and then from her perspective, so then you like see the whole thing. And now I'm gonna read the third one, which is the stepmother's perspective, and I don't actually know if this picks up like where the other 2 books have picked up, or if it picks up from where like from like her when she had her first husband. I actually don't know anything about this book. I do my best to avoid like any spoilers, so we'll see. I also don't know how I'm gonna read it because I have it on my Kindle, but my Kindle's on my phone and you guys are recorded on my phone. I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out. But I'm gonna go to bed because it's 10 o'clock. Hopefully you can hear me. It might be really quiet. I wanted to update you guys. I'm about 25% of the way through the stepmother story, Always Ella, and I think I just don't like the feeling I get when I read books from a villain's perspective, because I've read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, wonderful book, beautifully written, still think about it, gave me the most creepy, horrible feeling, and I don't like that feeling. Same with Ferris, the Cinder Marissa Meyer book, that one about the evil queen, hated it, hated the feeling it gave me. I think, and this one's giving me like feelings along the same way, but I've looked up reviews, because when I figured out it was her story and then I reread the books and I realized how horrible she is, because I was thinking maybe she was redeemable in the original books, because it's been a while since I've read them. I don't know, I looked up reviews and it said that they really liked the book, and like they're mostly 5 stars, so I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it's just me. I'm really hoping that I'll like it though, because I've loved the rest of her books that I've read so far. Rereading them, they don't have as much emotional pack and power to me. Not emotional, writing. Like the writing isn't quite as, it doesn't click with my brain quite as much. Like it's still good writing, but it doesn't like make me like jitter happy. But I love the story, and I love specifically Will's perspective of Ella. Makes me so happy. Ella towards the very end of the book I love, but I love seeing Will see her that way the entire way. Oh, it's so good, so good. Anyway, basically I'm trying to get into this book. I'm 25% of the way through, and it's kind of a longer book. It's like 340 pages, so it's not like huge, but it's bigger than the other ones, because the other ones were like maybe 300 pages each. I think they're like 250. So I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. I just reached part 3 of the book, and I'm totally fine if irredeemable characters are redeemed. I just cannot see how she can redeem this character. Like she has good things in her, I can tell, but just the way she thinks is so different from me that it hurts me to think like her, I guess is the best way to describe it. I don't know. It's so loud right now, but I just wanted to show you that I am crying. This book that I hated for about 75%, not hated it, I just was not enjoying it for 75% of it, made me cry. 5 stars. So good. I'm crying partially because the ending was beautiful, and partially because it's so sad. I need to end this vlog now, so I need to wrap up all my thoughts. Here. I give up. So, finished Ella, finished Ella's Will, finished Always Ella, which is the last one, and I didn't think I could love this story any more than I already did, but it's so good. I absolutely recommend it. I recommend if you want to read it, read this first, and then Ella's Will, and then Always Ella. But you could pick up any of them and read them. They'd hit better in that order, if that makes sense. I loved it so much. I'm so grateful that this author wrote more in the series, and if she wanted to write one from Jane's perspective and one from Corbin. She already wrote one from Corbin's perspective. That's Finding Beauty and the Beast, which is a Beauty and the Beast story, which is not like directly related to this. If she wants to write any more from any other character's perspective, I would read them. I would eat up a book about their lives after, like the little epilogues that we get at the end of Ella and Ella's Will. Chef's Kiss make me so happy. I would love a prequel about just Henry and Eleanor. I would love like a book in an alternate universe where just Henry and Eleanor get to be happy with Ella. I eat it up, all of it. It is so good. I really want to buy my own copies of these books and just start annotating them, because I was doing that on my Kindle book, which I need to go back and annotate some of it because I was just like entranced for the last 20% and just reading, so I need to go back and not edit, but just like add in notes and stuff, highlight my favorite passages, because there were some that just like hit me like a ton of bricks. If you have any interest in the series, I recommend checking it out. They're really short, like, yeah, this is 228 pages, and then this one's like maybe 300, yeah, 250. So, and then Victoria is 350, so it's like quite a bit bigger than these two, but it's definitely worth it. They're so good if you wanted to pick them up. We're now going to move on to the spoiler section of this vlog, this reading vlog. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for these books because you want to read them, or you just don't want spoilers about these books in general, thank you so much for watching. It was a delight to share my experience with you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you wish to keep watching, there's like maybe a minute or so of spoiler stuff for you to watch, so have fun. At the very end, when she's forgiving her stepmother, I forgot that she did that, because the whole book her stepmother is this like unforgivable, horrible person, and at the end I'm like, yeah, actually she does deserve some redemption and some love. And so now I'm really excited to read her book, because I was reading it the whole time and I was like, I don't want to read a book from her perspective because that's the new one that I haven't read yet. And I think I'm actually really excited about that. I do think that Prince Kenton, she should write one from Jane's perspective, because I would love one from Jane's perspective in this book. Why am I crying about a chicken? I don't know. I feel like she's got so much unredeemableness about her. Like the way she talks, the way she thinks, the way she feels about the world makes me feel like she is this unredeemable character. And the thing is, like, and the thing that's crawling under me is that I adore Henry Blakely and Eleanor. Love it so much. Makes me so happy. And every time that I see her interact with Henry, my skin just crawls, because I do not want her to like take over his goodness and happiness. And I know we're gonna get to that part of the book, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. I am so sad. Also, I didn't realize that the evil twins were actually twins. I didn't know that her stepsisters were actually twins, because in Ella's will, because in Ella you don't ever like hear if they're twins or not. You just know that they're her stepsisters and you're like, okay, whatever. And then in Ella's will, he's like, he doesn't know if they're twins or not, but he could never tell which one was older. And so now in this book, she's like, oh yeah, they're twins. They're giving birth to on this, like, I was like, oh, because I never thought of them as twins before, and it does make a lot more things make sense in the book, but it just confused me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. I was reading it. I've underlined some things. I'm going to make some of them public on Goodreads if you wanted to read them. But like the things that I'm thinking about, like the foreshadowing that's in there, it's really interesting and it's well written. And her, I don't know, the stepmother's brain, if she doesn't get redeemed at the end, it's not going to be worth it to me personally. Because I know at the end of the book, she like squeezes Ella's hand and then Ella forgives her, but I don't know if she forgives Ella or if she like tries to be a good person, because she's like evil up to the very end. And I don't know. Like, I know she's gone through stuff in her life, but so did Ella. And Ella was the kindest, sweetest, gentlest person in the entire world. And this stepmother is so conniving, and I don't know. We're gonna see. I've got opinions, and I just don't know if it's gonna get any better than this. No, now she's gonna marry Henry, and I'm really grateful for the way that it happened. I'm glad she didn't ensnare him into marriage, because that would have made me probably throw the book. And by the book, I mean my phone, and that would have been really bad. Like, just all the stuff that she went through in her life, and then finally realizing things literally as she's dying. Like, normally I don't like deathbed repentance. Like, it doesn't do anything for me, but this time, like, I could feel it in my bones that, like, she knew I was expecting to hate her, because the
It's really only the last 80%, no, last 20% of this book that deals with the events that we saw in the other 2 books. The rest of it is talking about her and her life up to this point, which I actually loved because you see parts of Ella's life too, like when she first marries Henry, and Ella when she's a little girl, and you get to meet Eleanor. Like the last 20%, because she's kind of not repenting, but like realizing that what she's been doing is wrong for the last like 20% of the book, which is the entirety of the book that we know. And so reading it, I can just see it, and it just, because in Ella's will, he sees her, Will sees Victoria, the stepmother, see Ella at the ball and then say her name and then collapse. But in this book, you learn that it's because she just wanted to say sorry to Ella because she could tell that she was dying, and I don't know why, but that just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, Ella goes and gets her dress back that got sold by cutting her hair and selling her hair. And then in Ella's will, you learn that Will tried to use the money that he'd been saving to marry her to buy her a dress, and instead of getting the dress because Ella had already bought it, he buys another dress and shoes to help her, but obviously Ella already had shoes, and so he gives it to her later after they're married. But then in this book, you realize that once Victoria realizes what happened and like finally realizes like, oh my goodness, I've been making terrible decisions, she's like on the way to the ball, she's like, we need to stop and go to the dress shop, because she's trying to buy the dress back for Ella. She learns that not only did Ella buy it back, but the hairdresser who Ella sold her hair to paid for the rest of the dress. Like, Ella's hair could not cover the amount of the dress. The hairdresser paid for the rest of it. Just so many angels in all of their lives intertwining. It was beautiful. It was so good. It touched me like right here.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm glad you watched this all the way to the end, which means you don't care about spoilers. So let me just say, my favorite character in the entire world is Will, but also I would kill for a book about Jane and the Prince. Like, honestly, I would eat it up. It would make me so happy just to know that I get to see the prince and the Cinderella equivalent. Like, so good. I wish she made that book. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or week or night or whenever. That's just destiny. I'm not gonna steal her outro. That would be mean. Y'all are sweet and kind. Go read these books because they're wonderful and I love them ever so much. And there's more that I didn't even spoil for you. So go figure that out for yourself, I guess. Anyway, bye. Okay. I was gonna say goodnight. I am so tired. Thank you for watching. Bye. Mwah.